Hi, I am Inspired99. In this video, we will hear what Rich Gaspari has to say about the athletes in the men's open division. Subscribe and turn on notifications to receive more bodybuilding news. Following his most recent podcast, bodybuilder Rich Gaspari, who competed in the 1980s and 1990s, is back with another fiery opinion. Speaking with John Romano, Gaspari recommended that men's open competitors use excessive ped use rather than high-quality training. Following the deaths of Sean Roden and George Peterson in 2021, the bodybuilding industry was shaken. Cedric McMillan died at the age of 44 in 2022, continuing the worrying pattern. Recently, women's physique contestant Amy Richardson tragically died a few weeks after traveling to Las Vegas for Olympia weekend last month. Veterans of the sport have demanded safer procedures, particularly with regard to the use of steroids. Seth Faros and Kali Muscle, two well-known figures, have continued to express their unhappiness of the direction the men's open division is taking. The activity has been dubbed the world's most hazardous by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. After engaging in a verbal duel with Hadi Choopan, Gaspari sticks by what he said initially. According to him, competitors don't exhibit the same level of stoicism as they did in the 1990s. I normally have a really good response from my followers, but since I made that post, and I'm going to say by far, I'm not hating on Hadi Choopan. I think he's a great champion. I thought he looked phenomenal. I'm going to be a critic as a bodybuilder who has been doing this for 4 decades. I'm being a critic to say, from the front Hadi had the most amazing physique, very dense, reminiscent to the older days. I still feel they are not as refined as today. But when you look at him from the front, dense as hell. From the back, he had a wide back. I'm not going to say he didn't have a great back. He had a great back, but I don't think the density was there compared to a Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, or a Lee Haney, says Rich Gaspari. Choopan's argument that the comparison with Yates was impacted by the camera illumination was also disputed by Gaspari. The cameras were not better back in the day, laughs Gaspari. It's the angle. Oh, he wasn't hitting this shot. I don't care. If you're in a relaxed position, you can see when somebody is hard, even if they aren't hitting the shot totally. I didn't want to sit there and bash Hadi and piss on his parade because I think he's a great champion. Nick Walker will win the Mr. Olympia title in the future, according to Gaspari. After winning 3rd place and the Olympia People's Champ Award at the 2022 Mr. Olympia, the mutant entered the 2023 Arnold Classic. Walker was accepted from this preconception even though he thinks most athletes no longer train hard. Nick Walker, I believe he could also be a threat to win the show. He's still not to that point of being super hard. He needs to be super hard. I've seen videos of Nick Walker training. He's a freaking maniac with really heavy weights that guy is using. It's tremendous. I think there is something to say how guys are training and depending on drugs more than the quality of training. That needs to come back. It seems like training is lost, Rich Gaspari shared. Before terminating the interview, Gaspari said that he had once had blood vessels popping in his eyes as a result of overtraining. He did admit, though, that a lot of today's winners put in intense training. When I was in my 20s, training for the Olympia, I trained so hard that I would pop blood vessels in my eyes. I was doing legs. That's how hard I trained. Again, I don't want to sit here on this show and bash people and say they're not training hard because I do believe there are a lot of current champions that do train hard. What the Open is doing to get that much more massive, it's probably a lot more eating. I don't want to say this on the show, but a lot more drugs and other things to take to get that big, says Gaspari. In addition to winning the 1983 Mr. Olympia competition, Samir Banout cautioned other contestants against using drugs. He cautioned veteran IFBB competitors against gaining excessive muscle mass using PEDs. He has also pursued aggressive rivals who allegedly utilize site enhancement substances like synthol. The fact that 2 previous 212 competitors placed 1st and 2nd at the 2022 Olympia suggests that the judging standards may now prioritize conditioning and balance over bulk going ahead. Gaspari acknowledges the changes the sport has undergone but expects that athletes will start putting training first rather than abusing more steroids.